Hello and welcome to a new pick a card reading. In today's reading, we're doing a connection check-in. This reading was requested. I am here to oblige the request. We are going to do a connection check-in, which is about what's going on between you and another person. Now, this does not have to be romantic. This can also be platonic. This can be between you and a friend, you and a family member, you and a boss. It can also be between you and your higher self. But of course, there is always the opportunity for it to be romantic. We will see what comes out in the cards. This is just a check-in to kind of give you some footing, some grounding of where are you at in this connection? Where's the other person at? And what's going on? What is maybe something that is hindering this connection from flowing in a healthy way? So, or we might find out that the connection is very healthy. Don't know what we're getting into. I have prepared 3 groups for you with these lovely Alphonse Mucha cards. I'm going to give you some close-ups right now. So for group 1, this is your postcard. Give you a beautiful close-up here. This is group 1. Group 2, this is your postcard. And group 3, this is your postcard. Now I did deal these out, but I did pay attention to the fact that all of them sort of have different body positions that I think are going to be significant in these readings, but different body language, different ways in which they are holding their heads and looking towards the viewer. So take that into consideration while you choose your pile. I'm going to give you a moment to either zone in or zone out, whichever you need, in order to see which group is calling you the loudest. You also may want to watch multiple groups. Maybe there are multiple connections that you're trying to get some footing in, some grounding for. So take a moment and I will meet you at your reading. Timestamps are in the description below, and I'll see you there. Hi Group 1, this is your reading if you chose this beautiful postcard. Let's see, is there a name? It's Zodiac from 1896. And we can see the zodiac signs all around here. So this one is called Zodiac. We're going to set this off to the side right over here so you know you're in the right group. And then we're gonna get right into it. So Zodiac, the astrology of your signs might be significant, meaning it might be something that you have been considering, that you've been learning about, that you've been contemplating how your different signs play with one another. You may also have been looking up your guys' synastry or composite charts. That might be significant, but it doesn't have to be. Could also just indicate that your signs, your natal placements might heavily affect this connection, which technically can be true for any connection. Doesn't have to be. There's always interplay, but how intense that interplay is varies. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull a couple of spirit animal cards, and these are going to inform us on where your energy is at, where their energy is at. So the first card out is going to be your more private energy. Taking their time, that's okay. We want the right cards to come out. We have Panther. And then what is the energy that you are facing them with? We have Gazelle. Might I say passive-aggressive a little bit? Okay, let's take a look at them. What is the energy that they are facing you with? We have Eagle, and then what is their more private energy? We have mouse. Oh my God, you guys are both pretending a little bit. Notice, oh, that is so interesting. They are pretending to be a predator, but they're actually prey. And you're pretending to be prey, but you're actually a predator here. Okay, we're going to get one more card for each, and this card is what Spirit would like you to embrace more of in order to find more grounding in this connection. We have Buffalo coming out for you. Oh, and that one fell to the ground. And we have Hawk for them. All right. The lion is at the bottom of the deck telling me this connection overall is sort of activating for both of you your confidence. This is maybe conflicting. This may be a battle of confidence here, a battle of the egos for sure, because on one hand, we have someone, you, and switch it if it doesn't resonate, but I do tend to kind of set that in place, that the first energy is yours. Your energy, you are trying to keep the peace here, but there is something that you are upset about. There is something that you are tense about. There is something that you are sensitive about. With this Panther, there is a feeling of you being defensive and needing to protect yourself from this person. It could be that this person has been an aggressor, that they have done something to you, that they have acted in a particular way that wasn't very self-aware, and they might be a little bit in the doghouse. We see that with Mouse because it seems like they're trying to be very quiet. It seems like they're trying to not... With Gazelle, it also feels like you're keeping the peace, but one wrong move and you're out. And so this person is being, activating their ego eye. They're being very careful. With Hawk, I keep hearing like the energy that they're supposed to be embracing more. I'm hearing that that song, I've been watching you like a hawk in the sky. Is it my go or is it your go? That is Aaliyah. Which one is that? Is it my go? Is it your go? Sleep, sleep, sleep. Oh my God, that's driving me nuts. I'm gonna get there. I've been watching you like a hawk in the sky, just so you know. I can't get there, but you know which one it is, right? So they're being very careful. Are you that somebody? Are you that somebody? They're having a hard time. I think they pushed you to an edge and you got defensive, and both of you are at a point in time where it's like you're calming down, but you're still very easily, it's like your energy is still inflamed. And so they know that they gotta like chill out and sort of give you space for you to regulate yourself. The energy for you to embrace more of is Buffalo, which is to, I don't want to say that you need to grow a thicker skin, but that is what's coming through. But I think it's not about like, oh, you need to be okay with people mistreating you. Absolutely not. By thicker skin, it's more so about creating more of an energetic barrier between you and this person so that when something pokes you, it's not straight to the heart. So you do need thicker skin, but it's not saying that you are too sensitive, because the water buffalo has a lot of very thick protective layers. And that makes them very rich, that makes them very abundant. And so that's what Spirit wants you to kind of lean towards. Instead of being very careful and defensive and aggressive preemptively, they want you to create a little bit of distance here. Now, that doesn't mean you have to completely distance yourself from this person, but I do think that both of you are craving a little bit of distance. With Hawk versus Eagle, I think the Eagle is a little bit more aggressive versus the Hawk is a little bit more like, let me wait and see. Also, the ego, I think, is a little bit more ego driven. And so with a hawk, it's very interesting that there's a lot of insecurity here on their side, but they really don't act as if they are insecure. And so I think both of you are very sensitive towards one another right now. Very sensitive. Okay, let's get some oracle cards. What's going on in this connection? We have the bridge. Let's get one more. Yeah, you're coming, I'm telling you, there's like this dichotomy between predator and prey. And it's like both of you have distorted perceptions of one another. And that's actually what puts you in a good place to have some kind of interplay of energy. Because both of you, if you were more authentic in your energies and less focused on what the other person is perceiving or expecting, then you would actually come to more of a middle ground here. And then we have the destroyer. See, this is very intense. Okay, so something's definitely happened in this connection, and it's kind of like both of you are maybe deciding to put on this facade of like, okay, like, yeah, okay, it's fine, but then not fully addressing the deeper layer of emotion here. And so with the bridge and the destroyer, I'm almost getting this feeling of a bridge is something that can bridge a gap so that two different, like I'm getting like the idea of cities, two different cities can come together and sort of expand their power, but it can also bridge a gap so that two cities can have a straightforward path to attack one another. It's like letting down a drawbridge. Are you inviting in somebody who is peaceful and that can become something, I don't know. I'm getting a lot of like old-timey merchant images, like when there was really no way to vet who is this person that is like at the drawbridge. Are they a merchant that is going to bring us innovation, or are they a threat? So there's a lot of defensiveness in this connection, and it's kind of like a make or break moment that you guys are finding yourself in. Let's see. We're going to get some tarot cards. Let's put this over here. Spirit, what's going on in this connection? We have the Three of Cups. We have the Six of Swords. We have the Temperance card. Okay, there's a transition happening in this connection. You guys might be very sensitive towards one another because you are trying to bridge the gap from going from a friendship to something more. That could be going from a friendship to business partners, going from a friendship to family because of some intermingling. Doesn't have to be the two of you. Like this could be two friends becoming sister-in-laws, something like that, right? Going from friends to something romantic, something a little bit more. There is this feeling of trying to figure out new boundaries here. But with the Three of Cups, it's kind of like maybe there's an element missing. Maybe you guys were part of a group that used to be like three people and one person moved away, and both of you kind of don't know how to interact without the third party. Or if you are a couple, if this is romantic, maybe things are easier for you when somebody is third wheeling. Whenever there's a third element, it kind of takes the pressure off of you guys, because I think both of you are so sensitive to each other's movements. Both of you are so like on edge when it comes to you guys being in the presence of one another. And I think whenever there is a third element, it kind of eases that. This also gives me the feeling of if you guys have a common thing that you hate, that kind of unites the two of you. Give me one more here. But I do see that there is sort of like a need to, if this is romantic, there is a need to come together in friendship first, because there may have been some pain due to intimacy, And I think if this is something that requires repair, it needs to happen on a platonic level first in order for the both of you to be able to feel secure and safe in this again. It's kind of like you have to recognize each other's humanity. Yeah, we have the Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck. There's a lot of defenses here. There's a lot of defenses that are sort of keeping you from showing up authentically. And if you're not showing up authentically, then why are you showing up, right? Because then you're just performing. Now, if this is a work situation, I do feel like there is a lack of trust and there is a need to kind of come together for the sake of something else and overcome your egos. And that there is a lot of potential for you guys to come together in a fruitful way. And that's true whether this is for work or a romantic situation. There is a lot of potential for the two of you to have an abundant connection here that leads to something stable, but it requires trust. And right now, I feel like there is a real issue around trust here. Both of you are sort of exhausted by the idea of having to extend beyond what you have been. And it could be, I'm getting a lot of ego on their side. It could be because they did something wrong and they know it, but they're having a hard time admitting to it. And that then puts you in a place of like one wrong move and I'm out and I'm done. Again, we're seeing here though that there is a necessity to kind of let the waters calm. And that's why I did say I think a little distance is necessary here. So with the Three of Cups and the Six of Swords, I am getting that Spirit is kind of highlighting the necessity to be cordial, but create a little distance for things to calm down. This feels like a water pot where the water was just boiling hot. You can't drink the tea when it is boiling hot, right? You gotta let it sit a little bit. And speaking of tea, there are a lot of different kinds of tea where you have to let the tea steep for a certain amount of time. And that's what I'm getting here. There's something that needs to steep, that needs to sit for a certain amount of time for like the intensity to come down and the flavor profile to unfold so that both of you can kind of recognize each other for your full expression and not just that first impression that you're giving off. What is a blind spot in this connection? What is a blind spot in this connection that you need to be aware of? We have inner life. And going hand in hand with Buffalo being an energy that you're supposed to embrace more of, I do think that this is about you kind of focusing on yourself for a little bit. That you need to step away from this because it's too intense. It's too like make or break. There's too much going on. And so with inner life, it says your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. And notice the position here compared to the Temperance card. You need to let this sit for a while because right now it just seems like something that is very sore, that is very just inflamed. What's going on in this connection? We have the Sun, we have Libra energy, and we have the 12th house energy. Absolutely, this is egos clashing. And that's fine. Like there's no judgment with that because it's natural for egos to clash. But your egos are both kind of inflamed right now. I think one of you is very passive aggressive, the other one is very defensive, and that then in turn makes you then defensive, and then that makes them passive aggressive. It's kind of like a loop. The 12th house is the house of the unseen. It is the house of our mental health. It is the house of solitude. With Libra, it is also the house of hidden enemies. And so that's kind of what it feels like, maybe, that you're like, you were supposed to be my friend. You were supposed to be my partner. Like you are supposed to be on my team. And I feel like you didn't have my back, something like that, right? And so this is showing you guys vulnerabilities within this connection, because again, there's some kind of breach of trust. And so it's kind of like, who have I invited in? with the 12th house and Libra energy. Libra is ruled by Venus. It is about bringing balance back into something that is very heavy on your mental state here. And so in order to do that, you got to bring balance into yourself before you can then approach this connection to bring balance into it. With the sun, we are talking about ego things, but we're also talking about bringing attention to shadow aspects. Where are we living out our darkest fears because we're not addressing them head on? Where's something coming to a boil because we've been avoiding it, because we've been trying to, again, keep the peace instead of expressing our frustrations? Okay. Spirit, can we get some advice for group 1? How should they, what's an energy for group 1 to release, to let go of in this connection? We have child, eternal, and then what is an energy for group 1 to embrace, to grow towards, in order to feel more grounded and more in control of themselves when it comes to this connection? We have Midas, Miser. Interesting. I say interesting because at the bottom of the deck I just saw we had the Victim card. I say interesting because I almost would have expected this to come out opposite, to kind of allow you to embrace each other wholly. But the fact that this is coming out this way is telling me that an energy to release here with child, eternal, is perhaps the expectation of someone to come in and fix this for you. It says the shadow attributes inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security. I'm telling you, there's an ego clash here, and it's creating a lot of insecurity in this connection. And so I think the focus is for you to come back to self and create that abundance and stability within yourself, so that you don't feel so put out of balance by what they do. And then how they show up after that is up to them. But that would be you doing your part, is not expecting someone else to come in and fix the situation. Now, that being said, I do get the sense that they have done something to offend or hurt you. And that's not to say that they aren't responsible for, apologizing for that, but you are responsible for taking care of yourself in that hurt, in that offense. Now, the energy for you to embrace, to grow towards, it says entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything to gold, delight in sharing life's riches. Midas, Miser is glass half full versus half empty. And so this is an energy for you to embrace. So instead of saying like, oh my God, I can't trust them, now we don't have anything, I am getting strongly that you're supposed to kind of pull the energy away from their actions determining how you feel about yourself or about the connection in general. You're supposed to kind of focus on, what am I expecting here, and is that still possible? And especially, again, if this has to do with like some kind of financial collaboration or entrepreneurial collaboration, there are certain ways in which you guys don't see eye to eye and your egos clash, but there are also certain ways in which you complement one another. Like I said, it's like that merchant could be an enemy, but that merchant could also be somebody who brings innovation to your kingdom. And so if we leave the drawbridge up and we don't ever let them in, it's because we're expecting the worst, right? And then we might not ever allow innovation to reach our kingdom. That's kind of what's coming through with Midas, Miser. It's like, especially because Midas, Miser is kind of like, okay, we are recognizing that you are on one end of the spectrum. What if we, which is kind of like, oh, this is the worst and this situation is awful. What if we challenge you to think of it that in terms of what is the silver lining here? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about them? That's really annoying to hear when all you want to see or want to acknowledge is the negative aspects. But conflict, and I do think that there is some conflict in this connection. Conflict allows for you to see who people really are. Conflict allows for you to see who you are when you are pushed to your worst. And conflict also gives you the opportunity to build a much stronger foundation moving forward. So there is some silver lining here that Spirit would like to point out to you. But they're saying that it's something that you have to embrace, not something that can just be delivered to you on a silver platter. So you may be expecting this person to act a very particular way, and I think that's not going to quite happen the way that you want it to. And Spirit is kind of like, okay, how do you deal with mending a relationship when not everything is going to fall into place the way that you want it to, but there's still something to harness here. There's still something to gain with that Queen of Pentacles. Okay, we are going to take a look at what is the highest potential of this connection and what is the least favorable outcome. Spirit, what is the highest potential in this connection? We have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Page of Wands. See, that is that merchant at the drawbridge. I'm telling you. And then we have the Chariot. I think the highest potential is to gain a change in perspective, to learn something new, and to be able to move energy in a new direction with the Chariot. To really make this wheel move and to be able to confidently, like I'm getting, especially because we saw the water buffalo on your side, right? I just got a snippet image of somebody riding a mechanical bull. The idea of that being a fun activity, right? And somebody is riding this Wheel of Fortune like a mechanical bull. That's exactly what this energy is, which is something that can give you adrenaline, it can make you feel excited, and it can make you feel empowered. And then what's the least favorable outcome of this connection? I'm definitely seeing potential for the two of you to move forward in a very empowering way and in a very determined way. So again, if this is entrepreneurial, if this is like work related, I see this being challenging, but there is something to be gained out of that challenge. If this is romantic, I see it as challenging, but I also see it as something that you're going to learn very valuable lessons from. And you might even just learn what you don't want in a partner. What is the least favorable outcome? With the Nine of Cups, the least favorable outcome is definitely going to be sitting in your righteousness, sitting in your own energy and being like, nope, I'm not going 1 inch further because I know who I am. And that's totally, that's totally understandable. Boundaries are important. Yeah. See how this is movement and this is the lack of movement. This is like, I'm not budging. And that's the least favorable outcome. So Spirit is saying you not allowing the challenge to move you in any kind of direction, because this doesn't mean that you are being challenged to move towards them. You might move away from them, but you deciding to be like, I'm not doing anything until you prove something to me, that would be the least favorable outcome, because you're putting off a cycle of lessons. You're putting off work. That you would then just encounter again, either with this person or a different person. So I do see that there's a lesson to be gained about yourself here. Okay, Spirit, can we get some advice? Can we get 3 cards on top of this? What is some advice? How should, aside from the water buffalo and the Midas Miser card, how should Group 1 show up in this connection? We have the Eight of Swords, the Knight of Swords, and we have the High Priestess. This is about a willingness to address where you're holding yourself back. So again, shadow work. This is allowing time and distance to take up space, and to let something come to fruition here. to not stress this, but at the same time to take a look at what's holding you back here, what's keeping you stuck, what's keeping you caged in here. The Knight of Swords is it's intellectual bravery to approach this kind of situation where you feel like, why am I so stuck with this person? Why do I feel like I have a point to prove here? And with the High Priestess, this is telling me that you already know this. This is just a confirmation for you, and that it is about trusting your intuition, even if that tells you like there's no more common ground with this person. There is something for you to learn, for you to gain here, but I do think it has to do with the two of you sort of coming together in a more toned down way, and then just to kind of face each other with truth and instead of pretending so much. Because I think both of you are kind of trying to put on a tough, brave face. Any last considerations or advice for group 1? We have the Lovers and Nourish. Okay, so the Lovers isn't just about romantic energy. The Lovers is about choice. And this is an oracle deck though, so it's a little bit different here, but I still read it as choice. It's come out as the number 4, which is about the foundation, and it's about choosing to nourish a situation. The way that you choose to show up is going to inform how this goes. Now, that doesn't mean that it's all your responsibility, but I think what's going to be important first and foremost is you giving yourself the space and time to sort of calm down and to address your own needs first, so that you don't depend on this other person addressing your needs. And once you've kind of taken care of yourself, returning to this connection in a way that they can then show whether they're capable of adding to your life or not, adding to the connection or not, so that you don't come from a place of need, of a place of I need you to do this for me. I need you to act right, because you know that's not going to make them act right. So again, overall, I'm seeing a clash of egos, but I'm also seeing a lot of potential for lessons. I'm seeing a lot of potential for growth, and you have to recognize that growth can be fed by tension. So it does look like work is necessary in this connection. Doesn't seem like the best place to be right now, but take a break. Give your mind a break from this, because it seems like the tensions are just so high. Try to create a little bit of distance and, like I said, a thicker skin. Not because they deserve a break, but because you deserve a break. Okay? I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you would like to book a personal reading, you can do so on my website only. You can find the information linked below. Other than that, I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care. Hi, Group 2. This is your reading if you chose this lovely lady. What's her? Princess Hyacinth from 1911. Princess Hyacinth. Let's get into your reading. We're going to set her down right here, and we're going to take a look at your connection. Again, this connection can be to anyone that is currently on your mind. We're going to pull a couple animal spirit cards to get an idea of what are your more private energies and what are the energies that you're facing each other with. So that's how we're going to start off to get a look into this connection. Spirit, what's going on in this connection? We're going to start off with your energy. We have Tiger. And then the energy that you are more so facing them with, we have Firefly. And in their energy, we have Bee. Okay, we see a little bit of mirroring here. That's closely related. Look at all those yellows. And then their more private energy, we have zebra. Okay. Wow. Wow. So much mirroring going on here. Cobra. Both of you are very careful in this connection at this point in time. But both of you are very hopeful. Look at this mirroring. Both of you got stripes going on in the background. And even here, we got some stripes going on. But we're a little bit more flighty. We're not trying to commit to anything. We're recognizing our own ability to create. The firefly creating light, the bee collecting pollen, like keeping their options open. Very optimistic though with all of these yellows, solar plexus chakra. The zebra, this person is a little bit more, they're putting on an optimistic front, but I think at their core, they're a little bit more of a realist. They can see opportunities, they can recognize opportunities, but they do have a tendency to see things a little bit black and white, right? They do have a tendency to kind of be hot and cold, in or out. There's a little bit of hesitancy, caution. Caution is coming through. Now with the tiger, I'm seeing a little bit more determination on your side. I'm also seeing you as being a little bit more calculated. I don't think you're in like attack mode. I don't think that you are trying to pounce on this person, but they are showing up as prey and you as predator. However, the energies that you're facing each other with are quite playful and freedom loving. Okay, I will take it. We have Stingray coming out for you. Now the third card is telling us more so about what Spirit would like you to embrace more of in order for you to feel grounded and connected here. So for you, we have Stingray, and for them, we have Spider. And we have Tarantula at the bottom of the deck. Okay, again, so much mirroring, because look at how here we've got yellows and stripes, and then look at here, we've got two cards that represent like the whole color spectrum. On your side internally, on their side externally. So they are definitely being called by the universe. This isn't your job to do. By the universe, they're being called to trust in their ability to create and manifest for themselves more. And you are being called to trust in yourself more. Because there seems to be like this feeling of like, there's something about immediacy, like you want to capture something, especially with Firefly. You feel like you're running out of time. There's something here where you're like, oh, if I can't make this happen right now, it's not going to happen. With Stingray, you're being called to be more flexible and to be more open to things unfolding in a timeline that is not kind of controlled by you. They're being there's so much mirroring here. They're being drawn to do something similar, but it has where you're being called to trust in timing and something unfolding. They're being called to trust that something is actually present, that something is actually supportive. Very interesting. I think both of you are being very cautious right now. There might not even be a whole lot of interplay between you, because I think you have a hard time kind of settling on the same wavelength. Even though there's so much mirroring, it's kind of like when you're here, they're here. And then and that's not to say that up or down is good or bad. It's just different frequencies. And it's kind of like when you're here, they're here, and when you're here, it's kind of like you keep zapping to like different energies. And so it's kind of hard for you guys to settle, and yet the more private energies, you're kind of like, okay, I'm trying. So I think part of the challenge here is for you to go with the flow and not to, when you see that they're here, you might then try to zap your energy over here, but by the time you get it there, they're already over here, you know? And so you might be feeling like you're energetically trying to catch up with them all the time. And they're being a little bit cautious, and it's kind of, to them, it might feel like, why is this energy following me? Not necessarily group two, like, why are they following me? But this energy, like, it might feel like pressure, like, oh, why is this energy around me? And in the meantime, I think you guys are creating some very interesting web of connection here. A lot of mirroring. Let's see. Let's get some oracle cards. Spirit, what's going on in this connection? We have the flame. Immediately I'm hearing, is this burning an eternal flame? And the ocean. You know what that's giving me? Together, lighthouse. Because that's how lighthouses used to work. It used to be just a flame off in the distance across the ocean, a flicker of light. A flicker of light, oh my God, a flicker of light I think is very significant here. You guys see a flicker of light, and so you see it, and by the time that you look at it, the flicker is gone. And I'm also, that's so funny because I don't know if you heard it at all in the background, but I do have these candles burning. And the candle was bubbling, and I thought about pointing it out for a second. It was bubbling like a minute ago. And then I was like, no, it's whatever. But you're like two flames flickering, and it's almost like, you know, you see something flicker and you're like, what was that? Was that a trick of the mind, or was that, you know, did that light just flicker? And that's what's going on between the two of you. Interesting. You got me so distracted, I can't remember which. I guess this one next. Can't remember which deck is next. What's going on in this connection? But with the flame and the ocean, so again, I'm thinking of lighthouse, right? And a lighthouse is something that lets you know that there is land somewhere. That there is land, so that you don't crash into it. The ocean also indicates that it might feel like there are oceans between you. You might be at a distance from this person, and there might actually be a time difference between your guys' communications. That is possible for sure. But also it seems like there's some emotional distance that would have to be crossed in order for you guys to be able to fully connect. Because again, I'm seeing two very kind of like freedom-loving energies here, and yet I see with Stingray, I see your ability to travel quite quickly through this, and I see them preparing themselves for that. That is interesting. With the ocean, I'm also seeing a lot of depth here. And with flame, it's also making me think of, you know, light brings attention. We're seeing a lot of yellows here. Solar plexus energy, confidence. I think both of you are working up the confidence to be able to face each other with some form of emotional authenticity here. What's going on in this connection? Seven of Wands, Seven of Cups. Telling you, with Queen of Cups, very much connecting to this Ocean card, both of these Cups cards. Yeah, there's an emotional distance here, but both of you are sort of determined to work through it. The Five of Cups. At the bottom of the deck is the Three of Pentacles. What's going on in this connection? Okay. I think in order for this connection to see eye to eye, there are some emotional compromises that have to be made, and both of you at this point in time are not willing to make them. I think both of you are very freedom loving and very flexible and very much seeking joy. Both of you are seeking joy, but there is also, because there's so much mirroring, there's a very strong recognition of one another. And so there is this recognition of, oh, look, there's a lighthouse, there's land. I could go to this land. I could like cross this emotionality, this emotional ocean, and, you know, go to this land. But it would take me away from my adventure, from my sense of journey. This feels like something I do have to say, I'm feeling some fears here. I think both of you are fine on your own. And now this applies whether this is romantic, whether this is platonic, whether this is a work situation. Both of you are capable of just doing your own thing. But there's also a deep recognition here. And that deep recognition is kind of confusing you, because both of you, because it kind of feels like, you're doing your thing and you can do it on your own, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, who are you? How'd you get here? Why do I care? And with the Queen of Cups, there's a hesitancy to open up. And then with the Five of Cups, there's kind of like this feeling of, okay, but if I work with you, I might be closing myself off to other opportunities, because the Five of Cups is 3 cups that are spilt and 2 cups standing, and the Two of Cups is those 2 cups, right? And it's kind of like this, there's a fear here. There's a fear of losing autonomy. There's a fear of, especially on this side, this person is fearful that they're being trapped in a web. And you are kind of fearful that you're going to lose some of your light. What's underneath this Three of Pentacles? The Ten of Wands. The Six of Cups. This Three of Pentacles is calling for you guys to work together through these fears, because you're making it harder on yourselves than it needs to be, which might require one or the other to be vulnerable first, so that the other one can then feel like, oh my God, I'm glad you said it, because I'm confused too. Especially with these sevens, this seems like a connection that is going to require a lot of sort of self-governance and self-governance, self-parenting, in a way that sevens are very spiritual numbers, and they are numbers that remind us the work and effort it takes to feel secure. And I think both of you are quite secure in yourselves, and therefore finding someone who kind of mirrors that security back almost causes like a blip of insecurity, because it's like, oh, this feels like it could actually make sense. And that is maybe a little bit terrifying. And so there is a like emotional holding back here. Interesting. Let's take a look. What is a blind spot in this connection? Specifically for group 2, what is a blind spot for them in this connection? We have responding, not reacting. The only control we have is in how we respond to the hand that we are dealt. Yeah, you're being asked for more flexibility, because again, I think that you are more so focused on making something happen or understanding. It's not even that you want a particular outcome. You just want to understand what this is, and you want to understand it now, because you feel like you're running out of time. You feel like you're running out of light. You're running out of confidence. The longer this takes, the less confident you feel. So you're a little bit impatient here. And so this card is asking for patience. The Stingray is asking for patience. The Three of Pentacles is asking for patience. And it says the only control we have is in how we respond to the hand that we are dealt. You cannot control how this unfolds. But again, I'm strongly getting that, especially when they don't respond to you in a way that you expect them to, you're supposed to examine, right? You're not supposed to react. You're supposed to examine, why does this feel hurtful to me? Why does this feel discouraging to me? What about this kind of response is eliciting a reaction from me? And where is that rooted? Which requires shadow work. And both of you may have a hard time with that, because you're technically very, like I said, very confident and very autonomous. So you feel like, where typically you're very confident, when it comes to this person, it's making you feel less confident. The situation is making you feel less confident. So you feel like, well, then it must be unhealthy or there must be something wrong. No, it's about how to maintain that confidence when you are working with elements that are out of your control. Oof. Let's get you some advice. Spirit, for group 2, what is an energy for group 2 to release in order to feel more grounded in this connection? What is an energy for group 2 to release? And what is an energy for group 2 to embrace? We have Virgin. Now, don't take that literal. So to release, we have gossip. Okay, absolutely. There is a lack of confidence here. And what we're supposed to release here is trusting sources other than the horse's mouth. This shadow attribute says thrives on the power of passing private or secret information, betraying confidences. Gossip is more so like trusting information that is not coming from the primary source, right? And with Virgin as an energy to embrace, this also, because this is saying symbolic purity versus gossip. Listen, I have no moral issues with gossip whatsoever. It's a social construct that it was important for us, is important for us. It's necessary for the collective. So there's no judgment here. But the comparison between gossip and Virgin is very much like, maybe let's not focus on the negative aspects and focus more so on ourselves, right? Especially not the negative aspects of another person. Maybe let's not highlight in communication what the other person is lacking, or because it feels like they maybe can sense that. I think they can sense that energetically when you're talking about them in a way that is maybe critical. They might be able to sense it. You might be able to sense it the other way around as well. And so with Virgin, what I'm getting here is more so about Virgin is about keeping your energy clear, keeping your energy unaffected by other people's opinions, nor by your judgments being spoken out loud. And again, with responding, not reacting, you're being asked to slow down. There's a lot of, it feels like, and that's not to say it's just you, but I do feel like they are a little bit slower in processing, and I think that you feel a little bit more immediate pressure for some reason. What's going on in this connection? We have the 7th house, we have Venus energy, oh my God. And we have Libra energy. Okay, so if there was any confirmation needed for this to be a more romantic situation, here it is, because the 7th house is the house of committed partnerships and relationships. It is also the house of business partnerships, but we have Venus and we have Libra. The 7th house is naturally a Libra house, and Venus rules Libra. And Venus is also about money. It can still be about contracts within, but chances are this is romantic. These energies are like the same. These energies are the same thing over and over. Venus rules love and attachment. Venus also rules money. Libra rules harmony within relationships, but Libra also rules contracts, right? So there's room for both here. And perhaps that's maybe how we do need to view it. But overall, there's a lot of indication that this is a connection that is romantically charged. And I think both of you are very freedom-loving, very independent, and feeling threatened by the romantic charge of this. Sorry, somebody had to say it. Okay, we're gonna get 3 cards. What is the highest potential of this connection? Let's take a look. What is the highest potential of this connection? We have the Fool, we have the Tower, and we have the 6 of Swords. Wow. The highest potential is looking like, look at the 3 of Cups. The highest potential is looking like going into contract with one another and leaving some of your independence behind. The Fool is solitary. The Six of Swords is people coming together in community, specifically here as a family, to move together past conflict and past this I think is emerging. This is emerging. This is going from a single road into a merging of two. There's like two roads that are coming together to be going from two single roads. I'm having a hard time saying this. Two single lane roads coming together as a 2-lane road. There's a merging. Okay? That's the highest potential of this. But it's interesting that this is coming out with the Tower, because it would be very shocking to the both of you, because both of you are very independent and autonomous people. What is the least favorable outcome here? What is the least favorable outcome? All right, we have the Seven of Cups coming up again, which is emotional confusion and overwhelm. With the Magician, it would be manifesting something from a place of confusion and sort of letting that guide the whole connection with the Hierophant, especially because I think both of you are very unconventional. And so there is a lot of desire towards one another here, but you could very quickly become confused by trying to make your unconventional connection fit into a conventional box. That's the least favorable outcome. Trying to, even though both of you are very sort of uncomfortable with the idea of labeling or with the idea of merging, trying to figure it out and manifesting a traditional label or a traditional box over something that is actually very much your own style. So if you think about it, that could be, this would be a very coming together in a very expressive and individualistic, but both highlighting each other's differences. And this would be trying to homogenize something, trying to make something just the same. And we saw that because you guys mirror each other a lot, and that might be what's kind of like freaking you out, because there is sort of like this recognition of like, oh, there are similarities, but we're different. And I think the fear is that in coming together, you become one with them, and that freaks you out. But the highest potential is to remain in your individuality and in your weirdness and in your self-expression, but just you're getting more of it. You're gaining more, and also gaining more understanding of yourself and others, versus this is like just stuffing it into a box, which would be saying, okay, we're just going to be a couple now. Like we're partnered now. That's it. We're going to get married now. Like that's something very conventional that doesn't suit the both of you for some reason. Okay, can we get some advice for group 2? What is some advice? How should they approach this connection? How should they show up in this connection? We have the Lovers, we have the King of Wands, and we have the Three of Cups. Okay, so group 2. We have the Knight of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Follow your fun here. Because the moment that you start overthinking this, that's why the Stingray came out for you. The moment that you start overthinking this, it sucks all the fun out of it. The moment that you start to make this conventional, it freaks both of you out. Not just them, it freaks both of you out. So with the Lovers card, we're talking about choice. With the King of Wands, we're talking about determined desire. And with the Three of Cups, we're talking about celebration. And we saw the Three of Cups at the bottom of the deck earlier. We have the Three of Pentacles here, which is about leaving room. So I really like this because there is a merging taking place here, but you're not losing anything of yourself. You're still remaining in your self-expression. They are remaining in their self-expression, but you're gaining a third thing. And the third thing is you as a team, not as a unit, but as a team. So that's beautiful. And your advice is to follow your desire, because the desire is to merge here. Of course, they have to be able to kind of do that as well. With the spider web coming out, I do think that they're being guided towards that. There's a lot of fear here. There's a lot of fear of choosing to merge and then being the only one that shows up at the merging point. You can't let that fear stop you. You can't let that fear stop you, because then both of you will just kind of remain your own single lanes going next to each other. So show up at the meeting point. That's interesting. It's making me think of, there's an, now I'm not sure if it's an Arctic Monkey song or if it's The Last Shadow Puppets, which is both Alex Turner. The meeting point. The time has come again. The time has come again. It might be Last Shadow Puppets. Let me just look it up because it's going to bother me. Meeting point. Lyrics. Oh, it's Meeting Place. Sorry, it is The Last Shadow Puppets. The colder the night gets, the further she strays, and he doesn't like it being this way. And she tried so hard to steer away from the meeting place, but her heart had led her there. She clings to his consciousness wherever he lays. He struggles to sleep at night and during the day. He's worried she's waiting in his dreams to drag him back to the meeting place. And then it gets a little bit sadder. Her voice still echoes, "I'm sorry I met you, darling. I'm sorry I met you." As she turned into the night, all he had to say was the words, "I'm sorry I met you, darling. I'm sorry I've left you." For weeks they had strolled around playing the fools. They knew the time would come and time would be cruel, because it is cruel to everyone. He's crying out from the meeting place. He stranded himself there, where her voice still echoes, "I'm sorry I met you, darling. I'm sorry I met you." And then, "I'm sorry I left you." So don't let that happen. You have to choose to show up here. You have to choose to show up here. This one feels a little tragic. This could lead to like two ships in the night passing each other by, because both of you are very, very autonomous, and both of you are totally okay with being on your own. And so it kind of feels like, well, I don't need that, and that's fine. You don't need each other, and that's a healthy place to start. But you also don't have to fear of losing something just because you are finding each other. Whoa, that was intense. All right. Any last considerations or advice for group 2? I feel like this is the attitude you're giving me right now. Like, sure. Any last considerations or advice for group 2? We have health, learn, and seed. This is all about keeping this seed healthy. There is potential here, but it has to be fostered. And there is something to learn. I think both of you have gotten to a point of sort of like feeling confident about where you are in life right now. And maybe you're just like, ugh, I don't want any more lessons. Sorry, babes, the lessons don't stop. But also I feel like the next lessons ahead of you are going to be with this person, learning together. And avoiding this feels like the less healthy road to take. And it would just be prolonging this, because the seed is there. The seed, something is meant to grow here and develop. Now what that's going to develop into, some kind of contract, some kind of union that leads to a flourishing business or a flourishing relationship. But I do see that there is a lot of mirroring, a lot of potential, a lot of confidence, a lot of lack of confidence in self, but lacking confidence in terms of what you may bring to the table. And there's a lot of fear of vulnerability here. So those are just some things to reflect on for you. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you would like to book a personal reading, you can do so on my website only. Information is linked in the description below. Other than that, I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care. Hi, Group 3. This is your reading. If you chose this lovely lady, what is her number? Is she autumn or summer? Summer, 1896. This is Summer with her beautiful crown. We're going to set her right down here, and then we're going to get right into your reading. We are taking a look at a connection. So we're going to pull some animal spirit cards first to get an idea of how both of you are showing up in this connection. The outer cards are going to be the more private energies that you're embodying, and the inner cards more so the energies that you are facing each other with. And we're going to start with your energy. I wasn't ready for that. Mouse, we'll keep that in mind, but I was not. I didn't even ask a question yet. Spirit, can we get a look at this connection? Can we get a look at this connection? I'm going to start off with your energy. What is your more private energy? Thank you. We have butterfly. And then what is the energy that you are facing this person with? We have nightingale. Both very beautiful and very delicate energies. Very empowered energies. And we have snake on their side. This is the energy that they are facing you with. And then their more private energy. What is going on in this connection? We have horse. Okay. First impression is you are very confident in transforming yourself. And you are very outspoken in the work that takes and the power that gives you. This person is trying to match that energy, but I think they're having a hard time keeping up with you. The snake is showing me that there is a recognition. And the thing is that you're not even like, it doesn't even feel like necessarily you challenging them. It's just that the way that you speak about your own transformation, about your own life, overcoming your own darkness, puts them in a place of recognizing that in order to be in your life, they have to be able to match that. And so with snake, the snake, especially like eating itself here, there is this feeling of trying to keep up. But the horse is kind of like there's some impulses that they get to run away. There are impulses that they get that tell them like, I can't match this with like intellectual spirit, so I'm gonna match it with force, with physicality, with, we're also looking at two separate elements here. You're very intellectual here, and this person is very grounded, but grounded to a point that you are maybe a little bit too idealistic and they might be a little bit too realistic. And so my hope would be that you can find each other in the middle somewhere and find a middle ground. But I think that they feel very bound by certain things that you don't recognize weigh heavy on them. And there's this essence about your energy that is very much like you're not even trying to show off. You do something very naturally, and it's for your own betterment. It's for your own sake. But it puts this person in a fear of competition. So this could be a friendship where the way that you naturally shine can kind of burden this person's ability to show up for you. This could also be a workplace situation where your skills kind of, you know, threaten someone else. One at a time, please. So this third card tells us what energy Spirit would like for you to embody more of in order to show up more grounded. And yeah, this person has a hard time. They see you and they can recognize that you are very special, and they have a hard time seeing their own uniqueness as something that doesn't need to compete with you, that it's something that can be, they have the ability to be special in their own way. So there's a competitive aspect here, but I don't think it's overt competition. I think it's more so feelings of inadequacy that are like making something feel out of balance. Now you have the bee energy, and the bee energy is telling me that you could probably pick up on this. I think you're very because you're very intellectual, you're very thought oriented here, you can probably pick up on this. Don't make yourself smaller. Don't try to accommodate their lack of confidence by dimming yourself. That word was really hard to come out because I felt like I wanted to say dumbing yourself. But I meant dimming like your light. But I think intelligence may be an issue here too, because you seem to be very intellectual and very outspoken and very good with your words. And I think this person maybe is a little bit more introverted and a little bit more, they hold their thoughts in a lot more, and for you they come out more easily. With the bee being an energy that you're supposed to embrace more of, it's not putting so much emphasis on how they see you and kind of diversifying, right? The bee gets pollen from lots of different flowers, diversifying where you get your inspiration from. Because if you kind of focus too much on this person, I think you'll find very soon that the well of inspiration will run dry, because they will not want to feed your inspiration. They will kind of, they're having a hard time feeling like they can measure up. That's a bummer. With the unicorn energy being something that they're supposed to embrace more of, again, that's not something that you have to do, especially if you sort of get the feeling of having to tell them like, oh, you're so this, you're so that. They might get resentful at some point, being like, who are you to tell me what I am? They have to sort of recognize this within themselves. This is something that, honestly, with the moon here, there may be a connection to like a mother wound. There may be a feeling of not having gotten a lot of affection or praise from a mother here. And you seem to have just blossomed in confidence despite who's praising you or isn't. And that wasn't easy for you with the butterfly. Obviously, you've gone through some kind of transformational processes. You've gone through some metamorphosis. And with the bee, you kind of just want to spread positivity. And I think this person needs to find that within themselves. They can't get that from you. And the more that you try to give that to them, the more they're going to sort of try to prove a point one way or another. Let's get you some oracle cards. What's going on in this connection? Wow, we have agape, which is about unconditional love and accepting people for who they are, and accepting. Agape is very much like intrinsic love. Apocalypsis. I will tell you that I haven't had this deck for a very long time. I have read agape recently, but I have not read Apocalypsis, so I kind of want to take a peek just to make sure I'm not missing out on anything there. But Apocalypsis is very, the apocalypse is very much like a deep transformational process. Removing the veil of deception. Apocalypsis indicates a particularly painful time, one that unfolds when two disparate dynamics occur simultaneously, pulling the psyche in seeming opposing directions. Yeah, see, because I think you're very encouraging. You would like to You would like for this person to not see you as a threat. You would like for this person to see you as an equal, but you're also wanting this person to recognize themselves more. You cannot do that for them. They have to do that on their own. Let's see. Truths that have been kept in the dark are revealed, seen, and unearthed. No matter how relieving it is to witness them come into the light, an element of despair and grief follows. Yeah, there is some kind of, I want to be very careful with my words because it does feel a little bit like there's some form of resentment here. And I think it comes from a place of this person feeling like things are easier for you than they are for them. And I don't think that that's true. I think that the way that you approach your challenges is just different. It's just different. Neither one of you has it easy. Neither one of you is better or worse than the other. But this person is, because I think you are very outspoken and your transformation and your power is more visible, they may also just be more so in the midst of a healing journey. They're having a hard time recognizing themselves, and because of that, they project onto you. And that puts you in a very difficult position because you want to be very accepting and loving of this person, but there's only so much that you can take without challenging your growth, challenging the progress that you have made. Because you cannot put yourself back into a box just to appease someone else. What's going on in this connection? Let's take a look. Let's get some tarot cards. Spirit, what's going on in this connection? Yikes. We have the Nine of Cups coming out in reverse, and we have the Eight of Pentacles. Yeah. This is costing both of you a lot of energy right now. It's kind of like when you're in the connection, when you're facing each other, neither one of you feels good about themselves. Because the Nine of Cups upright is being self-satisfied. And in reverse, it's really just not being able to tap into that energy. And with the Eight of Pentacles, it just feels like work. Honestly, this feels like a friendship that maybe has, I wouldn't say it's run its course, but I think it's a friendship that has stood for a long time. And you've seen each other transform. And right now, I think you are mentally in a better place than this person. And again, that doesn't mean you are ahead of them. It doesn't mean you're better than them. It just means you're in different places. And I think it's costing you a lot of unconditional acceptance that they are not showing. So there's a lot of work trying to see each other eye to eye right now. We have the Seven of Cups. That's causing a lot of emotional confusion because it's giving you this feeling of like, why am I even here? What's the point? If you're just going to resent me for me being myself. And then we have the Ace of Cups. Okay, the Ace of Cups is about receiving affection and admiration, but it's also about being able to give that to yourself first and foremost, and understanding the quality of love that you get when you give it to yourself is of higher density than when you receive it from someone else. I get the sense, I don't think that this is necessarily completely, like I said, I think you are pretty far along in some kind of transition or transformation, so you wouldn't backtrack anyway. So I don't think that there's a threat to you compromising yourself, but I do think that you need some confirmation here that it's okay for you to prioritize your own well-being over pacifying this person's feelings of inadequacy. Because you do not have to fix that for them. And to be honest, you can't fix that for them. With the Devil card at the bottom of the deck, I do think there is love in this connection. There's admiration in this connection, appreciation in this connection. But with the Devil card, it's kind of like the shadow aspects. And again, it's not necessarily one person. It's not necessarily like it's all them. It's just the way that your guys' connection has been set up from the start. There's something where it's not allowing the both of you to fully express yourselves in your insecurities. And so that's making this person feel less than because you are embodying more of your securities. It doesn't mean that you don't have insecurities, but you're embodying your securities more. And this person is still figuring that part out for themselves. And so they might, it just kind of feels like they're also not necessarily. You need to focus on you so you don't take this personal, because I think they are going through some kind of phase of getting a venom out. And if you stand too close to them, you will get sprayed with the venom. That's kind of what's coming out. With the Seven of Cups, again, it's kind of like where has the love gone? Where has this gone? And with the Ace of Cups, it's kind of like you can't get caught up with that. You have to focus on what's in your cup. You cannot focus on this person's cup. They have to focus on their cup. You have to focus on your cup. Because right now, when you're in each other's presence, it almost feels like they would get to a tension point of them just like spilling your cup over, just for like out of a place of being reactionary. The Ace of Pentacles. Allowing some shadow aspects to come to the surface will put you in a position to really understand what this connection is to you. There is opportunity for this to come back together in a way that is more authentic, because the Six of Wands was underneath there. But there is also an opportunity for you to decide whether this is something you want to engage in, whether this is something you want to leave room for in your life. Because I feel like you're going through such a transformation, or you have been going through such a transformational time. It's time for you to have fun. And it seems like this person is not in that same timeline. And so the question is, do you slow down your access to what you deserve to experience just because you need to wait for this person? I don't think so. What's a blind spot for group 3 in this connection? Yes, no, no. There we go. Absolutely. We have Eternal Gatekeeper. Acknowledge, assert, and protect what is right for you. I think some boundaries are necessary here, because this may bleed into codependence. This may bleed into you trying to appease this person, you trying to find the right things to say, the right things to do, so that they don't feel this way about you. It's not within your control to change this. It's not. And so you need to make sure that you are protecting yourself here. I do think that these are like some shadow things that have to like come to the surface, and that venom needs to come out. I don't know, it's going to be different for all of you as well. I don't know that I don't think it will be the ending of anything. So I think you need to like remain hopeful, but you need to divert your energies towards something that feeds you and that nourishes you. And this connection, I think, is something that really kind of costs you. It drains you. Because it's kind of like you want to uphold something, you want to fix something that isn't yours to uphold or fix. Okay, so for group 3, what is an energy that they should release, that they should let go of in order to feel more grounded about this connection? What is an energy that fell to the ground, but very fitting? It is the Messiah card. The energy to release, to let go of, is the idea that you can fix this. It says exaggerated belief that you are the only means through which a cause can succeed. This is not your responsibility. Even if you have learned very significant lessons, maybe you have learned how to heal something about yourself. Maybe you have learned something about spirituality that helps you feel a lot more balanced. Maybe you have learned a certain meditation or a certain workout routine. There's something that you learned and you're like trying to pawn it off to this person, be like, just try this. And they're like, no, like that doesn't work for me. Because they're kind of like in this attitude of like, it's easy for you. And so you cannot lead them. You know, they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I don't even think you can lead this horse to water. It's not your responsibility. If the horse gets thirsty enough, it'll figure it out. Okay. What is an energy for group 3 to embrace, to grow towards more? Oh my goodness, another one on the floor. Oh, this one flew all the way to the other side. Ooh, we have slave. At the bottom of the deck, we have teacher. Okay. Surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. I think this is about surrendering the power you think you hold in the situation to let it unfold the way it's supposed to unfold. That you cannot control this, okay? Embodying... I'm also getting something else right now. I'm getting that, especially because, and I really want to be careful with this word because I know this word can be very triggering. People that have experienced enslavement, literal historical enslavement, did not walk around calling themselves slaves. That's not a name that they gave themselves. That is not a category that they identified with. And so there is something very potent about recognizing your servitude. There is something very potent about recognizing where your servitude is involuntary, because once you realize that's what they call us, once you realize that's who we are to them, to whoever is enslaving you, then you start to recognize that's not right. That's not right. And that could be very difficult for you to face. I'm feeling a lot of very, very heavy emotions right now. Because that can be really difficult to face. The idea that you are enslaved to someone else's will, to someone else's energy, to someone else's emotions. And again, this is the energy that you're supposed to embody, because the moment that you recognize that person's energy somehow holds that kind of power to make you feel like you have to show up a certain way, like you have to make yourself smaller and not be in your full expression. I think that's what this energy is saying in terms of what to embody, what to embrace, is recognizing like that is just a label that you're giving me. And the second that I finally recognize that's the label you're giving me, I can recognize that it's not right and that I need to find a way out of that. I'm really sorry, but this does feel like an imbalanced connection. That doesn't mean that you cannot come back to balance, but it doesn't feel like it's within your control. You need to let this person find themselves, and then they might find you again. But as it stands right now, you cannot make them find themselves. You cannot force them to see you, because they do see you. But they see your power, and it makes them feel less. Spirit, what's the highest potential of this connection? What is the highest potential of this connection? Oh my goodness. Yeah? Okay. All right, we have the Ace of Pentacles, we have the Queen of Pentacles, and we have the Ace of Swords. Now, the Ace of Pentacles was right here as well, right? Beyond the triggers, beyond the shadows and the dependency and the codependency is an opportunity for what? For growth. There is an opportunity for recognizing each other for each other's worth. Now, again, I don't think that's solely in your hands, but you have to lead by example. And that, again, that sounds so patronizing. You're not leading them. You're leading yourself, okay? You got to lead yourself by example and let them do what they're doing. So the highest potential is an opportunity for both of you to feel grounded in your worth and to recognize one another for who you are. I'm honestly getting strong friendship vibes from this, but it could also be a relationship that kind of where somebody is dealing with some really heavy mental issues, mental health issues. What is the least favorable outcome? And then, of course, it could also be a work situation where somebody is just kind of like hating on you. What's the least favorable outcome? We have the Moon coming out in reverse. We have the Three of Cups, and we have the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles coming out again. Okay. I think the least favorable outcome is you overstepping and doing too much of the work and holding back on this truth, right? Holding back on what you know is true and being like, it's fine, I can do it, I can do it. The Three of Cups is about celebration and thereby also by excessive indulgence. And with the Moon in reverse, there is a inability to address somebody's emotional needs. And so this is kind of like pouring into a cup that will never fill up. That's the least favorable outcome, okay? You trying to fill up a cup that has a leak, and so it can never be filled, and they have to fix their cup. Okay, for group 3, can we get some advice? How should they show up in this connection? Can we get some advice in order to feel more grounded and confident in themselves? How should they show up in this connection? Was that? I peeked out for a second. It was the Two of Cups, which is about authenticity. So again, not making yourself smaller. We have the King of Swords. We have the King of Cups. Kind of wanted to come out in reverse, but I don't know. I'm taking it upright. The King of Swords being about being very active in boundaries. Yeah, the Nine of Wands is recognizing that you have done what you've could so far. The Nine of Wands is about being emotionally and physically exhausted from this. And the King of Cups, especially because we got two kings and not queens, because the queens are a little more forgiving. They're a little bit more nurturing towards a situation. The kings are like, I've had it, get out, you know. And the King of Swords is very communicative about their boundary, and the King of Cups is very fierce about his emotional boundaries. And it's kind of like, you know what? I'm going to tell you, hey, I need a little break here. I need a little distance here. This is what I'm accepting at this time, but I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I've had enough. I don't feel good when I'm with you. So this is harsh truth. And with the High Priestess, it is about following your intuition on when to set this boundary. That doesn't mean you have to do it immediately. Yeah, look at beyond that is the Queen of Swords. So also having a little bit of empathy in how you do this. But yeah, I do think that you need to set a boundary here. You will know when the time comes to actually speak it out loud. What's going on in this connection? I meant to roll these earlier, but here we are. We have the 4th house, so this could definitely have to do with a living situation or a family situation. If you are living with this person, so if this is a roommate or if this is a partner that you share a living space with, that of course makes it even more difficult. But even more important to establish healthy boundaries and ground rules, because you deserve to be comfortable in your space. We have Uranus and we have Sagittarius energy. Now, again, if this has to do with family, that can also make it more difficult because, you know, the family issues cut right to the bone. It makes it so tense. With Uranus, there is going to be a disruptive energy to this, but know that Uranus, the bringer of chaos, brings chaos in favor of evolution through revolution, right? And so it's kind of like, hey, things are shitty right now. We need to address them so that we can grow beyond this. And even if that comes with a time period of us being kind of pissy towards each other, or not seeing eye to eye to each other, or not spending time together if possible, we have to get beyond this. And right now you are not feeling like there's room for you in this connection, and so you need to make an active attempt to take up more room, because you are growing into a foundation for yourself that is a lot more empowered. And so this connection is challenging that. Oof, this one was kind of spicy, not in a fun way. Any last considerations or advice for group 3? And we kind of see that in this imagery too here, right? She seems a little bit like, ugh, really? She's a little bit fed up. All right. Last considerations and advice, we have Feels So Right, Cave, and the Magic Within. Cave is very much about taking some space. This is closely related to the Hermit card. This is about taking some space for yourself to kind of take care of yourself. And this may be a connection that at one point felt like you were so on the same frequency, so it might be so confusing that you're not there anymore. Allow some space and allow some distance to let that even out. Communication is going to be very important here. Even if the communication leads to more conflict, it is important. And the magic within is like, you cannot hold it. You cannot put your magic back in the cave. You cannot put it back in the box. You need to live your magic out loud. And if somebody cannot support you in that, then you need to release them, because you deserve to celebrate the progress and the transformation that you have been through. All right. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope that it resonates, that it's constructive. If you would like to book a personal reading, you can do so on my website only. The information is linked in the description below. Other than that, I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care.